Back in 2002, when the GameCube and the Xbox were released, the PlayStation 2 was going through its third year of life. Many new franchises were coming out for the platform, for example, Ratchet & Clank. One such game to come out was the PlayStation 2 classic, none other than Kingdom Hearts. While it's no secret that Kingdom Hearts has become a phenomenon since then, does it deserve the large amount of praise it receives? Let's have a look. The story of the game is fairly simple to follow, that is until the sequels try to overcomplicate things. On Destiny Islands, we see three teenagers, Sora, Riku, and Kairi. The three youths aspire to head out to new worlds by building a raft, but it is cut short with the appearance of mysterious creatures. Sora, seeing his two friends drift away in front of him, mysteriously obtains a magical key to fend off the invaders, but is unsuccessful and flies off into a black hole. At the same time, word spreads around the king's disappearance at Disney Castle. This is followed by Donald Duck and Goofy heading out to search for their missing ruler, as well as trying to find a key, which the king mentioned in a letter before he left. This leads to Donald and Goofy heading to Traverse Town to begin their search, and as luck would have it, Sora's there as well. A series of Final Fantasy cameos show their faces, like Squall, who's called Leon here, whose dialogue consists of, "Be not afraid of greatness, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them."
What's that supposed to mean?
After some exposition from various characters, Sora discovers the weapon he possesses is called the Keyblade, and the monsters that were on his home island are called Heartless. After combating a massive Heartless, Sora, Donald, and Goofy form a partnership to use the Keyblade to defeat Heartless across surrounding worlds, all the while searching for Riku, Kairi, and the King. For a starting point in the franchise, I think that Kingdom Hearts sets some great groundwork with an easy-to-follow story with an overall goal to tie it all together. While you could say that later games got more angsty than one would hope for with a collaboration with Disney, Kingdom Hearts 1 has positive vibes throughout, along with many twists to keep you engaged. In terms of the locations you visit, each world is accessible by taking a spacecraft known as the Gummy Ship. Once you arrive, a predicament is presented to you and it's your job to fix it, so that you can stop the evil spreading across each location. The variety of locations is quite refreshing, taking locations from a variety of Disney films. Each world has its own gimmick, which keeps things interesting. For example, Traverse Town serves the purpose of a traditional town in an RPG, buying items and getting information about where to go next, while the Tarzan world in comparison is focused on traveling across vines and going through the trees to get to the next location. However, it doesn't matter if you have a large number of locations if the graphics just don't cut it. But Squaresoft are known for making great looking CG cutscenes and fantastic visual appeal, and Kingdom Hearts is no different. The animation of the characters are so vibrant, each of them have their own personality. This is especially true with the Heartless. The way they dart around the screen gives each enemy a distinct characteristic that you just can't help but appreciate every time you see them. The character models are also detailed to a fine sheen. Each of the Disney cast still feel like their old selves from when you saw them as a child, while existing Final Fantasy characters have their own interesting new designs that make them part of this collaboration. After seeing Final Fantasy X's terrible lip-syncing and embarrassing dialogue, including that now infamous laughing scene you've probably seen far too many times to unsee, it's surprising to see the lip-syncing done so well here, and this came out only a year after Final Fantasy X. The game occasionally cheats a bit with 2D faces with randomly flapping lips and blank-looking faces, but when it goes the more advanced route, it certainly impresses. Nitpicking aside, a superb game with its own unique style for meshing two franchises together. With a simple-to-follow story with recognizable characters, one could say that this would make an excellent gateway game not just for RPGs, but for games in general, and I would actually agree with that. Because of the complexity of RPGs in the past and present, having a system as simple as Kingdom Hearts is the right way to go for newcomers. Instead of having multiple weapon types like axes and crossbows, each weapon is relevant to the desired character. For example, Sora can only utilize Keyblades. The use of armor has also been removed completely in favor of focusing on accessories that you get by beating bosses and by purchasing them in stores. You can even gain new abilities through story elements or through leveling up. These can include dodge rolls, guarding, and gliding, for example. Items play a pivotal role since they restore your HP and MP. Expect to down many potions early in the game since it's the only way to revive a decent amount of health. Tired of getting mauled within an inch of your life by a leopard? Do your teammates keep rushing into battle, them being injured as a result? Do you have space in your inventory? Then try Potion. It's the greatest thing since water. Now in many varieties. Normal, large, raw. The choice is yours. Potion. Because clearly, drinking green liquid is perfectly normal for your health. Guaranteed. Your statistics are listed on the pause menu. There you'll see that there are limited ways your stats can increase. Nothing like speed or magic attack, for example. For someone new to RPGs, the simplification can be appreciated, especially since it's not a turn-based RPG. Speaking of this, the battle system is drastically different from Final Fantasy. You can move in a 3D plane, running and jumping where you please, all the while being wary about Heartless. When this happens, you're engaged into battle. There are quite a few options that the battle system allows. You can attack with your Keyblade both on the ground or in the air, cast a variety of magic spells, use items, and activate abilities. Though you won't be alone doing this. Donald and Goofy assist you in battle, each filling a specific role, Donald being the mage, and Goofy being the warrior, while Sora is a mix of the two. It is also worth noting that depending on the world you go to, a guest character will fill a space in your party if you so choose. Though they sound like a great crutch to lean on, they will fall in battle constantly because of their artificial intelligence. To remedy this, you can customize their behavior to be more defensive or more aggressive. Because there are a large number and variety of enemies, you have a lock-on mechanic to focus on a sole enemy. This is useful to take out the strongest enemy on screen, and is an absolute necessity when taking on bosses. Though because of the change of camera properties, the camera becomes more of a problem in close combat while locked on. However, this trade-off is better than not being able to focus on the target at all. If you want to customize any of your abilities, you can go into the menu and customize what spells and items you want to use just by holding down L1 and pressing a button. There are even summons in the game that you can use, but I found them to be superficial. I love all the options the game presents to you, leading to someone tackling a situation completely different than someone else. But because there are so many options available, the game will beat you to hell because of it. There are 2 difficulty selections, but the only difference I noticed between them is the enemies deal more damage on the harder setting. With enemies and bosses having their own attack strategies, you can expect to die. A lot. When using the Gummy Ship, the controls completely change to suit the change of gameplay. It's an interesting way to bridge worlds together, but these segments seem bland and boring because of the slow pace and uninteresting layout. The game attempts to make this worth your time by having a Gummy Ship customization system. Here you can make adjustments to your current ship with weapons and defensive blocks. You can even create your own ships to make them look like whatever you want, like an apple for example. I appreciate the high customization value, but it takes a large amount of time and patience that you will either love or hate. While the story can take a very long time to complete, you may be wondering what other missions lie in wait. Quite a bit actually. You can enter arena matches at the Colosseum to get better spells and weapons, find 99 lost Dalmatians scattered across the worlds, complete Jiminy Cricket's journal, and find torn pages for Winnie the Pooh's book. There is one more option however, and it is my favorite, the optional boss battles. If you aren't well versed in the mechanics of the game before you fight them, prepare to see this screen. A lot. This being the second game from Squaresoft for the PlayStation 2, this was the second time that the developers used voice acting. After a mixed reception from Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts brought on many noteworthy voice actors from Disney's pristine talent, and they don't disappoint. In terms of the Squaresoft characters, they're no slouch either, with well-known actors like Haley Joel Osment and David Gallagher filling the roles of Sora and Riku. While they do a good job, I always thought that Sora sounded younger than the designers intended. 14 they would have you believe.
No. Why would I do that? We've only just met.
But this is just a personal nitpick. The music was composed by Yoko Shimomura, and it is outstanding. The way the songs fit the environment and mood is superb and really makes the game stand on its own. The main theme, Dearly Beloved, is one of my favorite themes in gaming, not just because I'm a sucker for music on a piano, rather because it has so much heart and emotion put into it. So, for those of you who haven't bothered to listen to my thorough look at Kingdom Hearts, here are my final thoughts. I love this game, if you couldn't already tell. Despite its inspiration being rooted by Final Fantasy and Disney, it has its own charm and appeal. While there are certainly issues present, much like every fantastic game, they don't mar the quality and the depth the game provides. If the game can be improved in any way, I would make the Gummy Ship stages more compelling, fix the camera issues in combat, and add a boss rush mode because they're such a huge part of the experience. The game can be picked up for as little as $20 US, so what's not to like? While you might be deterred by the concept alone, give this game a chance, you may turn out to be a dedicated fan.